Can the awe-inspiring miracles we read about in ancient texts, like the turning of water into wine, be explained by the very laws of nature? Or do they stand as irrefutable proof of a power beyond our comprehension? This text dives into the fascinating intersection of science and faith, exploring the idea that while scientific principles might offer intriguing insights, they never diminish the profound divine power of God. Join us as we navigate the mysterious space where scientific understanding meets supernatural wonder, asking, how can science and miracles truly coexist? God, the supreme architect and cosmic engineer, meticulously designed every facet of the universe. From the very beginning, the biblical narrative in Genesis introduces us to a God who not only brought the cosmos into existence but also established the natural laws that govern it. These laws, from the unwavering pull of gravity that orchestrates planetary orbits to the intricate chemistry that breathes life into existence, aren't random occurrences. Instead, they stand as profound manifestations of His boundless power and infinite wisdom. In this light, science should not be viewed as an adversary to faith, but rather as a powerful lens through which we can behold the sheer magnificence of divine creation. As we peel back the layers of universal mysteries, from the majestic formation of galaxies to the most minute and complex molecular reactions, science empowers us to catch glimpses of God's unmistakable signature embedded within every phenomenon. Consider, for instance, the peculiar and vital properties of water, absolutely crucial for life as we know it, or the intricate chemical transformations that occur during fermentation. These can all be seen as direct reflections of the precise and elegant laws that He Himself established. Therefore, the miracle of the multiplication of wine at Cana, while it undoubtedly challenges our current scientific understanding of chemical laws, can be interpreted not as a breaking of these fundamental principles, but rather as a divine acceleration or a sublime manipulation of molecules. This act transcends our current human capacity to replicate or even fully comprehend. God, as the ultimate creator and sustainer of all things, possesses the inherent power to operate both within and beyond the very laws He put into motion. In this profound perspective, science transforms from a potential barrier into an invaluable tool, allowing us to marvel at the intricate complexity of His grand design. The Bible is a treasure trove of narratives that, for millennia, have challenged human logic and understanding. These are the miracles, extraordinary, often dramatic events presented to us as direct divine intervention in the natural course of affairs. From the dramatic parting of the Red Sea, which allowed the passage of the people of Israel, to the numerous healings of the sick performed by Jesus with a mere touch or word, these deeds have always been interpreted as irrefutable proof of divine power and presence. However, an intriguing question persists. Could some of these miracles, in some way, have explanations that align with the very laws that science, in its continuous advancement, uncovers? Let's delve deeper into the central theme of this text, the miracle of the multiplication of wine at Cana of Galilee. Science, with its vast and growing knowledge in chemistry, teaches us that the transformation of water into wine is an intricate and time-consuming process. It involves a complex sequence of biochemical reactions. The presence of sugars in grapes, the action of yeasts converting these sugars into alcohol and carbon dioxide, and a considerable period of fermentation and maturation to develop the wine's characteristic aromas and flavors. Yet, in Cana, Jesus performed this transformation instantaneously, without any of the steps that chemistry tells us are absolutely necessary. A possible, though still extraordinary, scientific explanation would be the drastic acceleration of chemical processes to levels inconceivable to us, or the instantaneous reorganization of water molecules and other elements to form the complex molecules of wine. While this seems impossible under known natural laws and the limitations of our laboratories, for the creator of these laws, the one who established them at the beginning of time, such molecular manipulation would, in its essence, be perfectly conceivable and within His domain. Other biblical examples can be explored from a similar perspective, though the intention is not to diminish their miraculous nature, but rather to provoke thought. The parting of the Red Sea by Moses, for instance, has been debated by scholars from the perspective of a strong, prolonged east wind that would have pushed the waters, a meteorological phenomenon known as wind setup or storm surge under certain specific geographical conditions. Similarly, the healings of the blind, paralyzed, or lepers performed by Jesus and his apostles could be related to a profound placebo effect induced by faith and perceived divine authority, or even the activation of latent healing and regenerative mechanisms within the human body that science still doesn't fully understand or know how to replicate. Lazarus's astonishing recovery from death, in turn, challenges biology more radically, raising questions about what truly constitutes death and whether there are reversible, near-death, states that transcend our medical understanding. However, and this is the crucial point, it is imperative to reiterate that even if one can speculate about plausible scientific explanations for some of these events, theories that are often extraordinary in themselves and not yet fully understood by science. God's action is central, irrefutable, and undeniable in all miracles. The coincidence of the wind at the exact moment Moses extended his staff, the suggestion that caused healing at the precise moment of Jesus' touch or word, or the instantaneous and perfect reorganization of matter at Cana, are not mere accidents. They are attributed to sovereign will and infinite divine power. Science can, at most, attempt to describe how the miracle might have occurred in terms of discernible physical or chemical processes, but it can never explain the why, the divine intentionality, or the supernatural authority behind such an event. It is God's hand that guides, initiates, controls, and concludes every miracle, making it a powerful testament to his sovereignty over creation and his own laws, which he can transcend or manipulate at his pleasure. 3. The natural laws that govern our universe, from the simple fall of an apple, explained by gravity, to the complex dance of subatomic particles, are often seen as the fundamental basis of science. They form the backbone of our understanding of the physical world. However, for those who observe the universe through the lens of faith, these same laws are not mere random occurrences or inherent, causeless properties of matter. On the contrary, they are viewed as a direct reflection and a continuous manifestation of God's divine power. Imagine the universe as a gigantic, intricate clock. Every gear, every spring, every precise movement obeys a set of rules established by a master clockmaker. The laws of physics, chemistry, and biology are these very rules. They ensure the order, predictability, and consistency we observe in nature. When water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and boils at 100 degrees Celsius, when plants perform photosynthesis to produce oxygen, or when stars burn hydrogen to form heavier elements, we are witnessing the impeccable functioning of these laws. For the believer, this order is not a product of chance, but rather of the wisdom and intentionality of a Creator who sustains all things by his powerful word, Hebrews 1 verse 3. In this context, the miracle of the multiplication of wine at Cana fits in a unique way. Science can delve into the chemical composition of water and wine, the kinetics of reactions, and the necessary conditions for fermentation. It can tell us that, under the natural laws we know, the instantaneous transformation of water into wine with all its characteristics, color, taste, alcohol content, is impossible. However, it is precisely at this point that divine action transcends human and scientific limitation. Science, while incredibly useful for describing and even, to some extent, manipulating the material world, is incapable of encompassing the Creator of these very laws. The belief that God performs miracles does not mean that he breaks his own laws in a chaotic manner. Instead, it signifies that he has the power to temporarily suspend, dramatically accelerate, or fundamentally reconfigure these laws for a specific purpose. Think of a programmer who creates complex software with countless rules. At any given moment, they can introduce an exception or an update that alters the program's behavior in a way that seems miraculous to a user who only knows the standard rules. Thus, science, by helping us understand the complexity and order of natural laws, actually highlights the magnitude of divine power. It shows us the grandeur of the norm, which, in turn, elevates the wonder of the extraordinary. The miracle of wine does not diminish chemistry, it demonstrates a power that precedes and transcends it, reaffirming that divine control over miracles is absolute, even when natural laws appear to be momentarily overcome by a sovereign will and power. It is the manifestation of a God who is not limited by the rules he himself instituted, but who uses them, or adapts them, to reveal his glory and his providence. Among the many miracles recounted in the scriptures, the miracle of the multiplication of wine at Cana of Galilee, John 2 verses 1 to 11, stands out for its simplicity and, at the same time, its profound implication at the interface between the divine and the natural. This event, occurring at the beginning of Jesus' public ministry, is frequently used as a starting point to discuss the nature of miracles and their possible interaction with science. What truly happened when Jesus transformed water into wine? From a scientific standpoint, the transformation of water into wine is a process involving a complex series of biochemical reactions. Water, H2O, is a simple and stable molecule. Wine, on the other hand, is a complex solution, primarily composed of water, ethanol, alcohol, residual sugars, organic acids, esters, aldehydes, and hundreds of other aromatic compounds that give it its characteristic color, flavor, and aroma. Wine production requires grapes, yeasts for fermentation, and a period of time that can range from weeks to years to achieve the desired maturation and complexity. A scientific explanation for the miracle of Cana, if we were to force it into a strictly naturalistic paradigm, would be the instantaneous and complete molecular reorganization of water and other present elements to form all the components of wine. This would imply the creation of complex chemical bonds, the formation of specific organic molecules, and the perfect emulation of a process that would naturally take time and specific conditions. It would be as if, in an instant, the water in those stone jars had aged and transformed into high-quality wine, described by the guests as the best. From a chemical perspective, such a feat is completely impossible under known natural laws. There is no chemical process or catalyst that can achieve this transformation instantly and completely from pure water. However, it is fundamental that our analysis not be restricted to a purely scientific lens. The biblical narrative does not present the event as an anomaly of natural laws, but as a manifestation of divine power. When Jesus commanded the jars to be filled with water and then for the guests to be served, the transformation occurred by his word and will. He did not use chemical reagents, laboratory equipment, or wait for fermentation. His action transcended the limitations of the physical laws that govern matter. Regardless of any human attempt to rationalize or find a scientific explanation for what happened at Cana, the central truth of the biblical narrative remains unchanged: God remains the author of the miracle. The possibility that the chemical elements of wine might have been rearranged in the blink of an eye, or that the molecular structure of water was instantly altered to become wine, does not remove the divine action. On the contrary, it exalts the power of a creator who not only established the laws of chemistry but can also manipulate and transcend them at any moment to fulfill his purposes. The miracle of Cana is not proof that science is wrong, but rather a humble reminder that God's capability and power far exceed our current scientific understanding. It is an invitation to faith that recognizes divine sovereignty over creation, allowing the wonder of the event to remain intact, whatever scientific speculation may arise. God is the master of creation, and the wine of Cana is an eloquent testament to his glory. Throughout this text, we've explored the fascinating intersection between biblical miracles, especially the multiplication of wine at Cana, and the natural laws that science relentlessly seeks to unravel. We've, at times, attempted to glimpse how some of these events could, in theory, fit into scientific frameworks, whether through extreme acceleration of processes, molecular manipulation, or natural phenomena in divine synchronicity. However, at the end of this journey, a fundamental truth becomes clear: science, with all its capacity for investigation, experimentation, and description, will never be able to fully comprehend divine mysteries. Science operates within a paradigm of observation, measurement, and replicability. It seeks patterns, causes, and measurable effects in the physical universe. Its strength lies in explaining how things work under specific conditions. In the case of the wine of Cana, science can describe the chemical composition of water and wine, the reactions involved in fermentation, and the energy required for such transformations. But it encounters an insurmountable limit when confronted with an event that defies its fundamental logic: the instantaneous creation of organic complexity without the necessary precursors and time. This leap is not a flaw in science, but rather an indication that there is a dimension of reality that transcends its methodology. The human perspective, by its very nature, is limited. Our minds, no matter how brilliant and inventive, operate within finite time, space, and perceptual capacity. We build our theories and models based on what we can observe and experience. The miracle of the wine of Cana, and others like it, remind us that divine action often occurs on a plane that is beyond our instrumentation, our equations, and our hypotheses. It's not that God violates science, but that he operates from a position of sovereignty that encompasses and transcends the laws he himself created. God is not a variable in a scientific equation or an element to be isolated in a laboratory. He is the creator, the one who established the very fabric of reality. If he can create the universe from nothing, he can certainly transform water into wine instantly, or heal incurable diseases with a word. These acts are not random, they are purposeful and reveal the nature of a God who is all-powerful, omniscient, and omnipresent. Ultimately, science is a gift from God, a powerful tool for unraveling the order and beauty of his creation. But it is a tool, not the totality of truth. Faith, in turn, invites us to recognize that, behind the order and the inexplicable events, there is a creator who transcends human comprehension. The miracle of the wine at Cana leaves us with the profound reflection that, no matter how much science advances, God's power and mysteries will always remain one step beyond our capacity for full understanding, an eternal invitation to reverence and awe. Throughout this text, we've explored the fascinating intersection between biblical miracles, especially the multiplication of wine at Cana, and the natural laws that science relentlessly seeks to unravel. We've, at times, attempted to glimpse how some of these events could, in theory, fit into scientific frameworks, whether through extreme acceleration of processes, molecular manipulation, or natural phenomena in divine synchronicity. However, at the end of this journey, a fundamental truth becomes clear: science, with all its capacity for investigation, experimentation, and description, will never be able to fully comprehend divine mysteries. Science operates within a paradigm of observation, measurement, and replicability. It seeks patterns, causes, and measurable effects in the physical universe. Its strength lies in explaining how things work under specific conditions. In the case of the wine of Cana, science can describe the chemical composition of water and wine, the reactions involved in fermentation, and the energy required for such transformations. But it encounters an insurmountable limit when confronted with an event that defies its fundamental logic: the instantaneous creation of organic complexity without the necessary precursors and time. This leap is not a flaw in science, but rather an indication that there is a dimension of reality that transcends its methodology. The human perspective, by its very nature, is limited. Our minds, no matter how brilliant and inventive, operate within finite time, space, and perceptual capacity. We build our theories and models based on what we can observe and experience. The miracle of the wine of Cana, and others like it, remind us that divine action often occurs on a plane that is beyond our instrumentation, our equations, and our hypotheses. It's not that God violates science, but that he operates from a position of sovereignty that encompasses and transcends the laws he himself created. God is not a variable in a scientific equation or an element to be isolated in a laboratory. He is the creator, the one who established the very fabric of reality. If he can create the universe from nothing, he can certainly transform water into wine instantly, or heal incurable diseases with a word. These acts are not random, they are purposeful and reveal the nature of a God who is all-powerful, omniscient, and omnipresent. Ultimately, science is a gift from God, a powerful tool for unraveling the order and beauty of his creation. But it is a tool, not the totality of truth. Faith, in turn, invites us to recognize that, behind the order and the inexplicable events, there is a creator who transcends human comprehension. The miracle of the wine at Cana leaves us with the profound reflection that, no matter how much science advances, God's power and mysteries will always remain one step beyond our capacity for full understanding, an eternal invitation to reverence and awe. As we reach the end of our exploration into the complex relationship between miracles and science, particularly focusing on the multiplication of wine at Cana, one truth resonates: science, with all its capacity to describe the material world, reaches its limits when faced with divine mystery. It offers us powerful lenses to understand the how of the universe, but it can never fully decipher the why or the totality of God's will. The miracle of Cana serves as a powerful reminder that the creator of natural laws is not bound by them. He operates on a plane that transcends our most sophisticated understanding, leaving us with a profound sense of awe. No matter how much science advances and attempts to explain the phenomena around us, God remains the great mystery, the author of all that is known and all that lies beyond our knowledge. Will science one day unravel all the secrets of the universe, or will there always be a domain that belongs exclusively to the divine, a perpetual invitation to faith?